Hey guys, I'm Jax, and this is my spoiler review for the season finale of Yellowjackets Season 2. And so this episode of Yellowjackets picks up straight where we left off, where Harvey has been killed by the wilderness. And by the wilderness, of course I mean all the characters who let him die in some kind of horrific wilderness accident. And so they bring him back, and Travis is like, What the hell? He's like expecting his girlfriend to be dead. Twist, flip, she's alive. He's like, oh, great, I'm super happy. Emotional roller coaster. Then he realizes his brother is dead, and he's like, oh, I shouldn't have said the word roller coaster, because you go up and then you go down. Why is she the butcher? What did she do wrong? She's like, I lost my baby, it was super sad, and everyone's like, oh yeah, we're with you. I guess, like, is it punishment for her almost killing Lottie? Because I don't feel like anyone, like, cared about that. They're like, yeah, you beat the hell out of her. Even though she's our leader, we love her more than life and the wilderness. But Shauna gets, I guess, the short straw, and she's carving up Harvey. And one of my biggest notes for this episode, often when I'm watching a show, depending on how involved I am, the notes become lesser and lesser. But this was something where I'm like, I have to make sure I note this down, otherwise I will forget because it's such a nothing moment. But to me, it's like a nothing moment, but that's why it's such a big kind of like, what? Like, I know you just don't think we're going to think about it, but to me, it was obscene. Like, Shauna's chopping up Harvey, like, slicing up, you see some like spine bone and everything. She's really doing a lot, even though they just ate Jackie, like, as a whole body. And they ate Jackie essentially like in one night, and I'm sure there was leftovers, you know, but leftovers in the way where you, like, you know, you order like a pizza and there's like 2 slices left over. Like, that's not a meal for like days or anything. Like, if you've got a body, don't you want that to last as long as possible? So if we're gonna cannibal, at least it's gonna sustain us for like an extended period of time. The way she chopped up Harvey and then brought him in, like, she brought in, and there was like maybe 10, 12 like big, juicy, thick, juicy fillets of him, and the heart and everything, and they're all just throwing it onto the pan. There's a lot of meat that she brought in. She brought in a lot of meat, and she's brought it in for them to eat then and there. One meal. One singular meal. That's a lot of meat. I feel like two of those 12 fillets, you bring it in, you slice it up, you cook it up, you eat, you'll get a little slither of meat, and you're done. Like, you're starving, I get, you want to eat it, gluttonousness, eat. I'm a man who loves to eat. Don't you worry. But if you're like starving and you've got a dead child boy that you've all murdered, oh, sorry, I mean the wilderness murder, you've murdered him, and you cook him up, and the way they cooked him up was like they've got 20 Harveys. Like, you don't know when you're getting saved. You don't know if you're ever getting saved. The way they acted was like, well, we're cannibals now. We'll just draw another Queen's card in a couple of days. Like, yes, there's a big body, and it's definitely not all of him. I'm not saying that. But I would presume that you're going to hope Harvey lasts forever? For months? One single month? The way they ate him was like, so a week. Or you're going to eat once and then not eat for 3 days. Like, I don't know. I just felt like she brought in too much meat. So the wilderness timeline ends with the cabin being burnt on fire, and it's a great classic kind of like season 2 ends. The second season, we're all in the cabin. Season 3, what will it bring? It was a classic season finale situation, but what I really, really loved was, like, it's not said, and we don't see him do it, but that's Coach. Coach just, like, tried to kill them all. He tried to burn them all alive. That's crazy. I love it. And I love that he isn't punished for it, like, in the moment. Like, we get to, like, deal with that for, like, episodes in time. Like, we get to, like, kind of sink our teeth into it, if you will. The cabin burning looked amazing. I am a little surprised there wasn't, like, a fatality. Like, one of them didn't die. But I guess the thing that died was their, like, sanctuary, their, like, safe harbor. But Harvey survived for months and months in that cave, so I presume we're just relocating to the cave, and in the cave they'll become more animalistic. Like an animal. Like an animal doesn't live in a house, an animal lives in a cave. And so they're transferring from human house to cave as they become more animalistic, and they're like, we're cannibals. Well, you know what? Actually, when I started that sentence, I didn't love it, but actually I love that. That's really fun. So it's a sad, emotional beginning to the episode, and if anyone's been watching any reviews, you know I absolutely love it when instead of playing those very unique, interesting, bizarre sounds and scores and just musical vibes they have with just the weird, unsettling kind of soundtrack they've crafted for this show. Instead of doing any of that, they just go, how about a song? How about the song Zombie, Zombie, eh, eh. I love it. I absolutely love it. It definitely doesn't drag me out of the series and just make me go, sure. At this point, I feel like last episode, I was like, it's just a thing they're doing now. And they're just going to put it at really big emotional moments. But what really annoys me is that they just don't double down. They like do it, and then like there's the moment where Travis is like eating the heart of his brother. And it's so intense. But they don't just go, zombie, zombie, as he's like, it's like got this weird like, it's like this really weird, upsetting, off sounds. And like the soundtrack is so upsetting and off-putting and like very, very unique. Like I don't even know how to describe it. It just made me feel off. Like I feel like the soundtrack was doing all the heavy lifting and it's a man eating his own brother's heart and the score is doing the work for me. That's how weird it makes me feel. And yet at some points they just play like a rock song, like a really famous song where like for 25 minutes of the episode, I just kept being like, zombie, zombie. And I'm like, I'm not even thinking about the show. I'm just thinking about that song. Great song. They never pick a bad song. It's just the choice and the placement feels like, at least for me. I heard a bunch of people in the comments were like, I love it. Fantastic. Honestly, I'm a little jealous. Incredibly jealous, in fact. I would love to vibe it, but it's not like a James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't feel like it fits in the way, at least for me. But whatever. There was enough in this episode of really well-placed score and upsetting, just feeling music that I can forgive them playing that song at that point. And they do one later, which I didn't love, but I also didn't hate. I feel like that was the best one they've done so far. So, in the present day, we got a lot of crazy things that happened. I feel like there's almost too much to discuss. Let's just go straight for the big thing. Misty goes to kill random cult lady girl character that we've been following the whole season with Nat, and her and Nat have been growing some kind of friendship. Sure, let's call it a friendship. I've hated their plot. I found it so meandering, so unrelated to the entire series. Feels so unnecessary for what we're doing in like the flashbacks, doing in the present day. It all just feels a bit like, oh, what's this leading to? Oh, she's going to see them all be like, what are you all, murderers or something? I've come in and I don't understand the full context of the situation. Misty goes to murder her, and then she kills Nat instead, because Nat's like, oh my god, this one time, back 25 years ago, Harvey did this for me, kind of, sort of. Let's go with that. And it's like, it kind of fits, it kind of works, and it kind of feels very random, and it feels a bit like, okay, Misty kills Nat, sure. I don't know, yeah, I feel really mixed about it. The whole present day stuff, it just continually lets down the wilderness stuff to a point where it like becomes laughable with how intense and serious and atmospheric and moody the cannibalism and all that stuff. Like, song choices aside, it's so good at doing what it's trying to do. Then we cut to the present day, and Lottie's like, let's do another hunt. And they're all like, oh yeah, let's pretend to do a hunt. And then when they do the hunt, they suddenly are just all on board. Like, explain yourself, Yellow Jackets. What is going on? Why do all the women suddenly go, yep, let's do the hunt. We've all changed our minds. Actually, yeah, we're all psychopaths now. What? I don't understand. I generally completely baffled and do not understand. It doesn't make any sense. They're all like, yeah, Okay, Sean is like, oh yeah, Lottie, I'm also with you. Suicide pact, cult, but only one of us dies. The hunt, blah, blah, blah. Like the past or whatever. I'm also crazy. And then she like winks to everybody and they all go, wink, wink. And they all wink back. And then when the hunt begins, they all just like put on the mask and it's all like, oh, scary masks. Oh my God, tension. Oh. And Sean is like, what the hell? What is this? And that's my question. Yellow Jackets, what is this? Have they all just gone mad? Because then her daughter comes out and is like, bang, 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 bang. And she should have just shot all 6 of them in the face. That's the ending this show deserves. She just pops Lottie in the head, pops Van in the head, pops other characters' names in the head. Ty. Remember Ty when she sleepwalked and killed her dog and made an altar out of it? Yeah, that persona's just gone this season, I guess. Whatever. Sure. Also, I love the actress who's playing Adult Van. Adult Van, so good. One of the best things of 6 Feet Under. Claire, one of the best things in Servant as Dorothy. Amazing actress, love her to bits. But I hate Van. Van has one scene alone with Travis straight after they've all murdered Travis's brother, Harvey. And she's like, Travis, maybe you should just get over it. Be happy you're alive. I'm happy I'm alive. She's just gloating to him that they murdered his brother. If I was Travis in that situation, and yes, I'm closer to my brother than Travis is to his. I'm very close to my brother. But if she did that to me, I'd slit her throat right then and there. And I'm not afraid to say that. Like, I know that's murder. That's bad. But I'm in a cabin and we're going to eat my brother that you all murdered. I'm killing you. I'm killing you for gloating about it. Not that you did it because the wilderness did it, but the way she's like, I'm happy we did this. I'm happy this happened. That scene has essentially ruined Van for me as a character. Because I'm just imagining myself as Travis. Because he has a brother, I have a brother. It's just easy to like straight relate to that. And I found it despicable and really disgusting and unnecessary. There was no need for her to sit down with Travis and be like, hey, you should stop having a sook and maybe just like eat like your brother. Having it be Van as well and not have it be his girlfriend who was going to die, then I don't know. I feel like there's another way you can do this that makes me not loathe Van and understand the situation. And I also would love the idea that he just has no one goes and just sits down and talks to him and has a scene. And then he can kind of come to his own like, well, I do have, like, maybe he watches them all eat his brother. And he's sitting there and days later, he's like, oh, I'm so hungry. And he finally decides to eat a piece of his brother. And it's this really horrifying, awful moment. Rather than him picking up the raw heart, probably going to get sick from reading that raw heart. I mean, I don't know what eating human hearts is like, but maybe cook it first. And he just takes a bite out of it. He's the first one. It all just felt wrong. It felt like the person who wrote this doesn't have a brother. That's what it feels like to me. Another thing in the present day that was a really big feature of this episode was that Frodo Baggins is a serial killer, which is utterly delightful and bizarre, and I love it so much. Last episode, he had a big giant jigsaw puzzle, and that made me upset, and I couldn't remember to, and it made me so upset that I forgot to mention that I thought he betrayed Misty, but he didn't betray her. He just brought the cops to the cult thing, and then he was going to murder them. So he murders the cop. He's all like, hey, I'm a serial killer. Jeff, isn't that funny? What? I'm Frodo Baggins in a purple cult costume, but I'm a serial killer. It's like a serial killer in training. It's like really fun, really weird. I don't know how I'd feel about it if it wasn't Frodo Baggins. Because it's Frodo, I love it. Elijah Wood is really, really great. Love him so much. Anything he does is great. He's really, really good in this. But then it just becomes so oddly and unnecessarily convoluted. Like, he opens the thing, the guy's in the trunk that he's killed, he's like, bang, 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 bang. And he's like, hey, this gun shot the thing. Do you want to be the hero, or do you want me to frame you as well, cop? And he gives the gun to the cop, and he's like, cop, being on this murder, fake out scheme, this, I don't know, this lie, this weird, corrupt thing that's going, I just felt so weird where I'm like, what are you doing? Just shoot him. Shoot him, and they're both dead, and then move away the bodies. Like, it was like, how lucky is Frodo that this cop decides, yeah, all right, that guy's dead, I'll be the hero, yay, hero, and like, I guess this will all work out. and like, I'll lie, I'll say all these things, blah, 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 blah. Like, Frodo's so lucky that this guy has no morals, is completely corrupt, is a monster of a man, and isn't immediately like, when Frodo gives him back the gun, he isn't just like, bang, shoot him in the shoulder, shoot him in the knee, I'm gonna get your confession, you kind of seem like a wheedly idiot of a man, I'm sure you'll confess once I shoot you 3 more times in the kneecap, because you just murdered my partner. Like, it just, there was no sign that this cop was corrupt and a piece of shit like that. At all. At all! Like, maybe if he was sleazy to the daughter and actually, like, had sex with her, or he did something where the cop who died, the main guy from last season, was like, hey, that's a bit out of line, cop guy. But nothing at all. Nonsense, insane. Such a fun, great plot, then it became convoluted nonsense, and it just happens to work out because, yay, it worked out. TV series. But Frodo Baggins is a serial killer, so I guess I can't be mad because that is crazy. And so just like that, the second season of Yellow Jackets is over. And I have to be honest, I feel like the placement of this season finale is ill-advised or uninformed. Maybe the people who created the show weren't aware of what else was going on in the land of TV, because this week is one of the biggest, most insane, shockingly influential ends to some of the most popular, successful, critically adored TV series of all time. And I'm not talking about season finales, I'm talking about series finales. Some of the biggest shows ever are all ending this week. Yellow Jackets took a break in between, like episode 5 or 6 or somewhere around there. They took a break and pushed this episode into this week, into the zeitgeist of shows like Barry. Barry is 4th and final season. It's ending on Monday. Ted Lasso, ending this week. Succession, potentially the greatest show ever made, ending on Monday. That is all anyone's going to be thinking about, talking about, digesting, not just season finales, series finales of these big, huge shows. Not to mention that yesterday, The Flash, after 9 years of Barry running very, very fast, that ended after 9 to 10 years of TV. Season/series finale. And then Yellow Jackets like, we're also here. It really feels like, imagine like a big Christmas party, and you've got all the relatives, they've all come everywhere, and you've got 3 or 4 tables of the adults, and then there's like a kids table. And like, no one hates the kids. We all actually kind of love the kids, and we respect the kids, but the kids are sitting at the kids table, kind of like pushed to the side, and all like the good conversation happens with the adults, because they're adults and not 6-year-old children. But we don't hate the children, and I do not hate Yellow Jackets. But Yellow Jackets season 2, season finale, is sitting at the kids' table, whilst this 1 week, has 3 very critically acclaimed shows, and 1 show that just went for so long. The Flash just went for so very, very long. Barry just couldn't stop running. He's just kept running. And I, for one, someone who did not watch the last 3 to 5 seasons, loved the finale. Was it a good finale? I don't know. But I watched it, and it's all I could think about. Yellow Jackets is like, we've also got a season finale. Yeah, but not like a series finale. Yellow Jackets are like,